Start then. Hello, welcome everyone to our Global Convergence Webinar Series. Today we have two distinguished guests among us. I would like to have a brief introduction about two of our guests. Yuka Nakasone is a visionary globalizer and localizer with over 30 years of experience in global business, passionate about leveraging technology, including a variety of types of AI and fostering cross-culture communication. She leads organizations toward global success. Yuka is also mentor, educator, and connector, committed to nurture the next generation of global leaders and driving positive changes. And we have our second speaker, Jacob Deitz, is a geologist. He's also an educator and entrepreneur, passionate about connecting people and ideas to drive global change. As the founder of Kilimo Collective, he builds bridges across sectors like agriculture, finance, and technology to address global challenges. And Jacob advocates for collaboration and sustainability through innovation and solutions and systems. Today, we have a very special topic of discussion. We are discussing about innovative globalization, and how to strategize for a connected world. So without further ado, welcome Yuka and Jacob for our session today. I'm very happy and privileged to have both of you in our Global Convergence Webinar Series, and would love to hear from you, since you know about the topic and title today. So what's your take on this topic, and would love to hear from you a short introduction about yourself and what excites you.
Okay, thank you very much for a very nice introduction. Jacob and myself run a year-round AI series at an organization called the Global Chamber, which is a global organization with 525 cities open. And we are very active, let's say, international network organization. And I am Japanese. My name is Yuka Nakasone. Like you said, I've been working for global business for about 30 years in different positions, but mainly I come from language industry, where you might know that the AI that is in boom right now is LLM, large language models, right? Language. And so it's my industry. So I've been involved in some AI projects much before this boom has happened. That's how I got engaged with Jacob to do this year-round ASCs at Global Chamber. And so here I am, and thank you very much. My passion is language and global, so this is totally a place to be for me. Thank you very much for the invitation. And the convergence is the theme that I'm after for a while, because it's a convergence of digital and physical, and also human and machine, and many cultures. So it's the theme that I'm looking into right now. And thank you very much for the invitation.
Thank you so much for joining. And Jacob, what about you? What excites you?
A lot of things excite me, and for me, it's like I have a bit of a diverse background, as you stated. With I started my career as a oil and gas geologist and worked that career for 8 years, and then taught middle school science for 5 years and coached soccer, sort of something I always wanted to pursue. And really, both of those different lives and careers, helped not only me gain a lot of really different and important skills about thinking bigger picture and thinking, across systems at a global scale. But, each had its own unique advantage that's helped me in this recent chapter of my life. And so, the last 3 years, I've done a lot from fundraising, working for nonprofits, local organizations in Africa, fundraising, partnerships, strategy, innovation, have made a real focus on building a network of networks. to me, if you're thinking about globalization, um, step one is building relationships and having that accessibility, and that's one thing that why I get so excited about Global Chamber and the potential there is that if you're able to navigate a network, which can be complex, it can yield so many great results. And um, just what excites me about this topic is anything with innovation. Innovation is um, always something that can get me talking for a long time, and anything that can sort of challenge how things were done and look at how to improve things in globalization. It's important that we focus a lot on improving these lines and ways of connecting people and ideas and resources to really drive some great development and progress.
Awesome. I couldn't agree with you more, right? I'm also part of Global Chamber. I'm being a member and also representing one of the distinguished chapter in Dhaka. So I do really admire how being part of a global network also help you to be part of greater innovations as well. So definitely always for globalization, it's also to become a part of a bigger community who wants to drive impact globally. Also very important. So Yuka, my first question would be to you that you have extensive experience in globalization and localization. So can you explain the importance of localization in today's global market? I think it's a very simple question though, but there might be some steps that you know better than us. And what are some common challenges that companies are facing when localizing their products and services that you have seen, and how they can overcome them?
First of all, what's globalization? So what's your global market? This is the question I always ask. When I see somebody who wants to globalize or go international, yeah, so what's your global market? And there's a definition about that. I mean, global market for Microsoft and global market for Google, even though they're very similar, they're different because your global market is the collection of your local market. There's no vague global market concept there you go and sell to everybody. It doesn't exist. So go global and globalize your product or service means go to another market or another market, and the collection is going to be global. And each market is a market with its own language, own culture, own everything, right? So many people come to this concept of going international with a very vague idea, but it's not. So what's globalization? This is one of the 3 ways of growing even more when you hit the ceiling of your market in the local market. The first one is take your clientele and throw another product. It's simple, right? So you grow more. And the other is take your product in the same market, different vertical, throw it. You don't have to go out to another market, I mean, another, country. And the third one is going global and going out from the market, copy and paste in another market. But there, copy and pasting is not that simple. I mean, we use translation because it's the most inexpensive way to make you understand in the local market. But it doesn't mean you can sell with translation.
Right.
It just raises the foundability. You can be found, for example, in Google. If somebody looks for something, you are there, and that's it. And you have to think how you sold your first product or service in your market. There are lots of struggle. There's lots of back and forth, and there's many dollars went into market sales, right? It's the same,
Right.
right? So that's the globalization, the concept.
Right.
Yeah. So
Very
that's what
nicely
I
said.
do.
Yeah,
And
very nicely said.
localization is to adapt your services or products into the local market, not just translating, but adapting. For
Right.
example, a very simple way to explain it is you need to look at three aspects. One is language, another is culture, another is function. For example, if you localize a website, for example, your website into Japanese, I don't know what is the most popular search engine in Dhaka, but if you localize into Japanese,
Right.
maybe you're going to do the SEO for another search engine,
Right.
right? This is kind of a culture thing. And then payment gateway, if you have an e-commerce, that's a function. You have to put something else, right?
Right.
And on top of translating and adapting culturally the content, you have to
Right.
think about the culture, what's on, what's not on, what is prohibited, what you need to do in that culture, and adapting functionally. So that's the localization. Yeah, so
Right.
that's globalization and localization
Right.
in a very simple way.
Yeah. And what do you think most of the companies face challenge-wise? Like, what are the challenge they are facing or not being able to address when they are trying to globalize their, services?
So they think it they take it very lightly. Going to another market is like starting up another business, right? So if you open 3 or 4, maybe
Right.
you're spreading too thin.
Right.
My advice is to really think through and do the market research before you go. And the very easy way to do right now, because it's connected global and digital, and
Right.
you can just mock the content and how many people are engaged. Maybe you can I don't know, but the or if you decide to go to the market, you need to really do the market research before you go to sell the product, for example. So there are lots of things you can do, and the product itself, if it's possible, needs to be prepared to be localized. For example,
Right.
my country is Japan. We have Toyota, right? A car. You
Right.
can buy a car from Toyota in your country for sure, right?
Right. Right.
It can write legally. Why? Because it's localized. And the first product is designed in such a way that adaptation is easier,
Easy.
right? So
Right.
there's lots of things that you need to address. So it's a kind of art.
Right.
And my advice is hire somebody who really knows
The culture.
how to do it, how to do
Right.
localization, how to do internationalization, how to do globalization, and not doing it by yourself. Many people really fail, and afterwards they come to us after they make lots of mess. And yeah, sometimes I find a mess in a company with 11. This is a actual case when I stepped into company's operation, they had a digital product. They had 11 languages. Nobody was
Okay.
professional, and I had to clean up, and I have to turn off 6 languages because we couldn't use. I mean, it was better not to show.
Okay.
It
Okay.
wasn't done by professional, so it was good to turn off. I turned off 6 and cleaned up 5. So
Right.
it's much more cost to do that
Mm-hmm.
than doing it well from the beginning.
Right.
So
Right. Right.
my
Yeah, makes
advice is
sense.
to consult somebody, somebody who knows.
Who knows it? I mean, we had the same experience when we, opened our office in Germany. So we had this language barrier, culture understanding. So we actually had to, onboard a partner who is German, and also who has been able to, guide us how to become a global brand as Brain Station 23. But then it's in Germany, so you have to understand the sentiment, also what our clients looking for, what is the gap in the market,
Exactly.
and then accordingly make your service offers for the
Yes.
customers there. Yeah. So
Yeah.
very, very on point. I can completely relate to the transition that we had. Yeah.
Great.
So Jacob, now my question to you, from your experience in connecting different sectors, how do you see technology facilitating globalization and bridging gaps between regions or industries, with your experience?
Yeah, no, great question. And I want to start with, Yuka put a thought in my mind when she said that about how, your global market is made up of all of the local markets. And, when I think of Yuka, I think of like in this idea of globalization, like the map maker, that the planner, the navigator, and you need someone that can sort of also go out and be that scout and
Mm.
understand the relationships and the dynamics at a local level. So sort of thinking ahead of who those, what I call like those systems orchestrators, that
Mhm.
can navigate communities and local organizations and markets, with ease. But so to zoom back out, when I think of uh, working in a lot of these different sectors, really what has been illuminated for me throughout the last few years has been like the interconnectedness of everything. And
Mhm.
when I think about technology, it isn't just about, efficiency and cost savings. It's
Right.
a bridge. It's that connective tissue that
Mhm.
allows people and ideas and resources to cross borders of geography, language, and even mindset. And having this technology to be able to tailor, to different cultures and ideas. And so when we talk about globalization, and this is where, I think that I can bring a different sort of picture and a balance. This is why Yuka and I work so well, is that, we can often think about these massive like trade agreements or multinational corporations.
Mhm.
But what I've discovered, is that real globalization, the kind that benefits communities and drives positive impact, happens at a
Mhm.
more nuanced human scale. Um, you know, Throughout the years, it's been a lot of conversations and thinking, you know,
Right.
bringing in a local farmer from Tanzania into a
Mhm.
dialogue with a data scientist in Silicon Valley, or a
Mhm.
fintech entrepreneur in Singapore. Technology can facilitate these connections, so they
Right.
can share knowledge, co-create solutions, and build alliances that would otherwise, um,
Right.
be maybe not be possible. Um, and with Kalimo Collective, that's my company. The premise has
Mhm.
always been, how do we connect the dots, um, so that's what's happening in one corner of the world can inform and strengthen what's happening in another,
Mhm.
particularly in these sectors like agriculture, finance, education. recently with mental health, working a lot with mental health. And so for me, technology, whether it's advanced AI tools, simple communication platforms, data-driven insights, it's the mechanism that transforms these personal, often one-to-one connections into a thriving ecosystem. You know, you can take all of that knowledge if you're able to use these tools like these LLMs. Um, you know, it's endless possibilities and ideas of ways to connect and bring value and make sure everyone is winning. Um, and so thinking about, you know, cross-sector collaboration, leading global initiatives, that's been something that's been really important to me. And a driver, you know, to sort of get me to this point was, you know, inaccessibility, whether that's inaccessibility to markets, inaccessibility to fundraising, inaccessibility to a lot of resources for so many organizations and companies around the world. Um, and so what I've tried to do, and this is tangible in some ways and not in others, is build what I call an ecosystem of collaborations. You know, each individual unique, but together creating a force that can really approach challenges holistically. Um, you know, you can think about all of the ways that technology can help to scale a lot of these initiatives. You know, give a few example. There's been some work linking smallholder farmers with digital finance platforms. You know, initially this might look like a few webinars, some introduction calls, nothing too flashy. But through these digital meetings, farmers begin to articulate their needs more clearly. They needed microloans, time to their planting seasons, or better data on soil health. On the other end, you know, fintech folks realize that by adapting their products, maybe introducing more mobile-friendly interfaces or flexible repayment terms, they can open up entirely new markets. And so I think it's removing yourself from your bubble and your understanding of what your world looks like, and really opening it up to the perspectives of others. And if often the best way to do that is place yourself in as many conversations with people as possible. And that brings in the last sort of element that I'm going to talk about, is the human element. And so, like, no matter how advanced the technology might be, what truly catalyzes success is empathy, respect, and the willingness to listen. You know, I think that one of the things that gets me really excited and hopeful are seeing all of these initiatives, whether it's tied to globalization, localization, or something else, but it's about bringing people together and the sense of community and having people, you know, start to talk to each other again. And I think that is a way not only to rebuild some of these bonds, but, you know, an important thing that I've learned and seen when dealing with really complex systems is, you know, often some people might not have an understanding of the whole ecosystem. And so gathering people together and creating a shared vision where you can see, hey, you know, I'm impacted by this, this, and this. You know, you could think of it in put on my science teacher hat, like a regular ecosystem. If you remove one thing, or if you add multiple things, how is that going to impact the whole? And I think having these types of conversations where technology can then take those conversations and maybe connect some of those dots and create roadmaps and action plans, that's a way where you can really enter a lot of these global markets, local markets, from a informed standpoint, and also from a standpoint of sustainability, lasting impact.
Absolutely. I mean, you touched some of the most important points, Jacob, to be very honest. You touched about how sustainable development can take place with the technology help itself. Like, the farmers who are, with the blessings of technology, they would be able to get information that they might be in need of. You mentioned about the importance of community. It's very important to become part of a big, better global community to get global access of information and also the solutions that they can get the benefits out of. So very important points. Absolutely, for any globalization, any company who want to become global, it's always connecting the right dots is important for them. Whether they are hunting for customers or whether they're hunting for partnership or something like that, it's always in being a part of our community they can access or have the network that they can tap into, that I firmly believe on. And you absolutely mentioned those important points. Thank you so much. Both of you have worked across various sectors, and you have mentioned the cross-sector collaboration for driving global innovation. But specifically, what 2, 3 points a company should specifically remember for making their company global. Do you have any 2, 3 points just to give them hints or something to take away from this session, that these 3 steps or 2 steps, it's absolutely crucial to make your company global? What would be these steps that you think, you and both Yuka?
Yuka, do you want to take that and start us off?
Okay. All right. 2 or 3 steps. Wow, that's a challenge because it's a whole process, you know. And many people without intending, they try to become global, meaning likely they just translate, putting some money, I mean investing money, they translate their website or whatever it is. So sometimes people get into this, say, internationalization of the company without noticing. So my advice is, as soon as you start thinking about internationalization, I mean, going global or going to another country, please remember that there are professionals doing that. And sometimes it's called globalizer, globalization expert, localization specialist. There are lots of names, but if you ask GPT, maybe you can find to whom you need to know. And then technology bit is really important. We are in this technological, let's say, transformation right now, and it's not just evolution, it's revolution right now. So don't be afraid of the technology, just be safe. Safety is the first thing you need to think, but don't be afraid to use the technology. So I mean, the first is use professionals, and then don't be afraid and use technology.
Right.
And maybe the last bit is, like he said, like Jacob said, human component is really important. So you're not going to a market, you're going to sell to people. People buy from people. So remember to connect with people. So these are the 3 things. I mean, connecting to people, meaning people in the market or people who are working for you from there, so you don't do it by yourself. So be mindful about human connections, and this is what we really need. If the technology advanced and we use lots of technology, maybe that human side needs to be emphasized to balance out as well.
Balance out as well. I mean, process 3 steps, use professionals, use tools, to advance, and then human connections should be there for sort of scaling things up. So yeah, Jacob, you want to add to it?
Yeah, you could always really bring some really important parts, and I think there are so many things that I think can are both important steps, but can also act as potential barriers for a lot of people. And I think I wouldn't say these are steps. I would say they're things to keep in mind as you're exploring globalization. And um, you know it's this I think a shift in how we think and how we think about development and how we think about work. It starts with learning, and it starts with conversations, and it starts with understanding your customers, and who where are those markets, and what are their needs, and are you even fulfilling those needs? And I think it's having those real conversations that don't uh, block you from moving forward. They inform you more to adapt, because now more than ever you have to sort of stay in this mode of maybe re-evolution, and just adapting to constant changing variables in this world we live in. And so I think coming, not completely shifting to like a I think there's some things where we need to shift to a bottom up practice, but I think having that mentality of, I don't need to be the one that's coming to bring all of the solutions. If I come from a standpoint of listening and learning and building relationships with my customers or communities, that will fall in place. And so uh, I think that you should never stop thinking about relationship building and a conversation. You don't need to have A, B through Y before you have a conversation with people and learn. And so
Right.
I think that's an important thing to keep in mind. And one thing is what how I always talk about technology like Chat GPT and Claude and Gemini is it's such a safe space to test out your curiosities and your big ideas. And if you do that from a framework of practicality and what's real and what's possible, uh,
Right.
you can enter into a conversation, you can enter into a collaboration, with so much more of an understanding of the other person, and the value that you can bring, and the value that you can create together. And so I think it's keeping these things in mind of you know this there's a book called Who Not How. And you are going to be, it'll sound like a Dr. Seuss book here. It's like you'll be some people's who's, but you don't need to know how to do everything. And
Right.
if you have an ecosystem of who's, it makes life, a lot, and work a lot
Easier.
easier. Yeah.
Right. That's how Elon Musk runs, Tesla. He might not be the engineer behind it, but he gathers people around, right? Who does the work for him. So yeah, very good point, Jacob. Relationship building and find the who's gonna be creating impact on behalf. So I think if you guys can just in morning, I know we have just only few minutes left, but in terms of future international businesses, how do you think this globalization and technology altogether will bring an impact down the line?
Well, that's a very good question, and a very difficult to answer right at this moment, because as you know, the world is changing so quickly. that's saying that something about 2 weeks from now, maybe it's a little dangerous right now. That being said, that the resilience of each of us or each company is very important, because the future is uncertain and unforeseeable. I think resilience, meaning being flexible, adaptable, cycling up very fast and keep going, that's something that we need to learn. This is belief.
Yeah, couldn't agree more, because we certainly are not being able to predict how, like, down the line after 5, 10 years, technology advancement would look like. And Jacob, what do you think? Do you agree? And what more do you think is gonna happen?
Yeah, like I saw this video the other day about how just since AI, this generative AI evolution has entered the scene, how things are going to be like science is going to move at double the rate almost, advancements in science, and so it's like I think I posted something on LinkedIn where like all I said was buckle up, and it's an exciting way, because there's yeah, I think like Yuka hit it on the head and saying like, you have to be resilient and know that you can only control what you can control, and not get caught up in the rest, because that's where anxiety and doubt will come in. And I like looking at trends and how to prepare for the trends. So like I thought of a few. So like looking ahead, this is something I'm excited about. We'll see technology driven trust networks that help to make these cross border collaborations a lot more easier and seamless. These hubs, more localized hubs of innovation that can influence these global markets, and AI tools that help us navigate cultural nuances. And that companies that continue to, as we're saying, embrace this continuous learning, invest in these scalable digital tools, and cultivate, genuine relationships across sectors and regions, will be best positioned to thrive moving forward. I heard this quote, and this is something I can end with, that it's just there's several that I sort of have as like my internal compass, and this one I heard last year at the Skull Forum I attended just virtually, and the quote, this leader, she said, collaboration is the new competition, and I believe that more than anything, and I think it's why I've worked really hard to create a very diverse network that hits a lot of sectors and spaces. Is we need to work together. We have a lot of challenges and growing challenges, and the only way to move forward and find some solutions is together.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think, how we as a company is also growing. We value a lot of collaboration opportunities, and that's how collaboration is the new competition. It's absolutely agreeable to every point. And with that, thank you, Yuka and Jacob, for sharing your expertise and practical advice with us today. I'm really happy that you guys could made it with your you have a busy schedule, I understand, but then again, you guys could made it, and it's been truly enlightening session. And to everyone who joined us, thank you for being part of the Convergence series. And if you'd like to learn more about upcoming sessions for the Convergence series that we are having every month, at least one episode. And I would like to request all of our audience to join us with our YouTube channel, and also don't forget to share your feedback with us, so that we can also invite our speakers again if you have more queries from them. And with that, I would like to conclude the session. Once again, thank you very much, Yuka and Jacob. Very happy
Thank you
and
very much.
really appreciate your
Thank you.
presence. Thank you so much. Have a great day, everyone. Depending on wherever you guys are joining. Goodbye, and hope to see you guys in our next session. Thank you. Bye bye.
Thank you, everyone. Bye,
Thank
everyone.
you.
Thank you.
Bye.